Hello, everybody. Happy Merry Monday all over the world. This is Real Talk Mary Jae. Real Talk Mary Jae is a social outlet for a positive outcome. And we are elated that you stopped by here on today just to have a positive, empowering conversation. Listen, I am excited to have sharing with me a Les Brown Power Voice speaker, author, podcaster, founder of Pickled LLC. And she has cloned the phrase, I can, I will, and I'm worth it. I want you all to welcome to the show on today with me this powerhouse, the lovely, the beautiful Amy Bolden. Welcome, Amy Bolden. Thank you for coming on to share with me on today.
Thank you for having me, Mary. Hello, everybody. And that is wonderful. Happy Merry Monday. Awesome. Thank you for having me.
Monday. Yes, I am so excited to have you, Amy. And just your podcast, your platform is phenomenal. You're impacting and changing lives. I had the opportunity to even share your YouTube channels with our organization, Women of Treasure that empower women from all walks of life. And I am so excited once again to have you sharing with me today. And not only that, that you're going to be one of our phenomenal speakers for our conference coming up this year. So I can't wait. I can't wait. There's power in connection.
Yes.
So, Amy, thank you once again for taking time out of your busy schedule to come and share with us as it relates to the book Intrigue. But before we get into that, Amy, will you tell all of our listening audience all around the world all of what you do, because you do a whole lot?
Well, I'll tell you this, what I do is what I had to go through. So I heal, and I hope to spread love, hope, and courage into the entire world, one person at a time. The Pickled Heart, our whole mission is to do what we can to inspire and ignite people to a healing for themselves. Through our programs, I have one-on-one mentoring. I have, as you mentioned, podcasts. I also have a motivational boot camp, which is getting kickstarted here shortly. And so I'm excited about that as well. The books that will be coming out, those two, I hope, help spread love, hope, and courage. Of course, the podcast is wonderful too. But more than anything, I just keep showing up to remind people of how beautiful and how worth it they are. You mentioned my slogan, I can, I will, I'm worth it. When I came up with that, Mary, I was on the bottom floor picking myself up. I didn't even believe I could at that point. So it's very important to me. As you can see, I have it on literally everything. It's all over the place, on shirts and everywhere.
I love it. Yeah. I can, I will, I'm worth it. And so to be in that place at the bottom of the bottom and speaking those affirmations over your life, and you did just that. You pick yourself up and you're here and you're spreading love abroad. I love it, Amy. I actually love it. So let me ask you the question, Amy Bolden, Lady Amy Bolden. Why Lady Amy Bolden?
I'll tell you, if you knew my life story, you can check it out on Les Brown, or I'm sure it's in other places. But with when I was on the Les Brown stage, I shared a big part of what changed it. But I'm here to tell you, you can also go to thepickled.com and you'll see a short snippet of my life story. And the reason I chose Lady was because of this simple thing. Well, it wasn't simple. If I would have let life had its way with me, I would have ended up a monster. I would have. I was showing it. I was hurting. I was having life just kept like hurting. Like, right. I don't want to go into the story because I want to take away from this moment. But I'm just saying that being a lady is a privilege, knowing that had I let life had its way with me, I could have been a monster. But God kept me and kept me a lady. So that's what it was about, Mary.
Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. I am intrigued, Amy, with your LLC, Pickled Heart. Can you expound a little bit more on Pickled Heart? Why Pickled Heart?
Okay, so as you guys know, some may know, I went from California to Georgia. Well, when you have your LLC, I wanted to get my LLC here in Georgia. And when I tried the Bold Movement, who I still am, but is my California LLC, the Bold Movement was taken. I'm here to tell you that Georgia is bold in many kind of ways. I tried almost 15 ways to Sunday to get the Bold Movement, but it was not happening. So I was actually upset because I had branded so many things. I had started so many things in that. And it was one of those things where you say, okay, God, certainly you wouldn't take what's good for me. You wouldn't take from me. So what is it that you're trying to give me? And so I think when we try to expand, we try to limit ourselves. But when we open up to let God expand us, he takes us from what we know to what we should do sometimes. So I was on a country road. And all of a sudden, the pickled heart literally came out of nowhere. And I said, okay, well, that
Wow.
has to be God, because I wouldn't be thinking about no hearts pickling. And
And not pickled, right?
right. But then when I thought about what pickling does,
Oh
what it
my.
means to soften and protect and tenderize, it made all the sense in the world, because that's what happened with me. I went from the bold movement where I was fighting for me, where I was fighting to pull myself out into who I was, into the pickled heart, which says, now we're tender. We can pour into other people. We can be soft. You're safe. You know, God has you. This life is beautiful. And when you get there, you realize, wow, he took me from there to here. But you have to listen. You have to be willing to hear it and go, what? Okay, okay, okay. So yeah, the pickled heart. That's how it happened.
I love it. I love it. That's absolutely amazing. A lot of times when we think that we're going in one direction and those detours are there, or even those closed doors are there, God told me over a year ago, Amy, He said some doors were shut to bless you. Oh
Yes.
my God, that just resonated through my spirit. I actually was going to do a women's revival
Nice.
about shut doors.
Yes.
One night that we had planned it and scheduled it about the shut doors. A lot of times we think those doors that are shut in our lives are to hinder us or to block us and stop us, but sometimes they're there to protect us. Sometimes they're there to take us to another path, to lead us down another road so we can really have a personal encounter with God. And when I was going to do that revival about the shut doors, then guess what happened? The doors got shut. The pandemic hit. We were masked down, mandated to stay in. Everything started closing down, and I was, God, that was so much confirmation. So I can feel what you're saying as it relates to the bold movement.
Yeah.
No, that's what God is doing in you. That's what He has given to you, to stand bold and to stand strong through adversities and all of those challenges, and to move forward, and then to try to brand that, and then now it's taken, and it's like, oh, wait a minute, God, that was supposed to be mine. But He said, yeah, you've already mastered that. I got you to where I want you to be, and now let's bring forth the pickled heart, because that, I love it. When I saw that in your bio, I was like, whoa, the pickled heart. That's intriguing. I need to hear more about that. And so that's phenomenal. That's absolutely phenomenal.
And it worked so well. Let me tell you, Mary Jae, I was somewhere paying with the business card, and on the business card it said the pickled heart, right? And I had a chance to show up for the purpose, because she said, can I ask you about the pickled heart? What is that?
Yes.
And I got a chance to speak with her, who she was a recovering drug addict, and she needed it. And like, God showed up. If you allow him, he'll show up. I mean, he'll show up at a restaurant using your card. Like,
That's
he'll
right.
show up.
That's just like God. It's intriguing. As I said, it's actually a real conversational piece to hear that, to see that. It make people ask, what's Pickled Heart all about? So that was a God move. That was a bold movement. That was a bold movement, Amy. I love it. But Amy, listen, I know we're going to get into the book in just a few moments, but I want to tell you how much I just appreciate you. Spirit, beautiful inside and out. A lot of times, we see beautiful people, beautiful women, cosmetically beautiful, aesthetically beautiful, but inwardly there's so much ugliness within. But I just love what resonates in you and through you, and being a part of the mastermind team, meeting you and having that encounter with you, even through our course with Mr. Les Brown, that was so powerful and impacting. And we were able to meet people all over the country and around the world. And Amy, when you spoke on the page, in class, on the stage, before we got to the Power Voice stage, the Power Voice stage speakers, but before that, when you told your story, and to hear, let's just say, how articulate, how charismatic, you had the persona, you had the poise, you had everything, the charisma. I heard him say all of those wonderful things, and he was blown away with your presentation and just the way that you shared it. See, that lets you know that you are impacting and you're powerful, because when people can remember your story and they can tell you back the things that you said because it resonated with them, there was a seed planted. And I remember you talking about your story, and I'm not going to get too deep into it because I know you're going to share some more in the book, and I know some of your story is going to resonate throughout the chapter that we're speaking of. And of course, for our Women of Treasure conference that we will be having in October, and the theme is
Yes.
I'm worth it. Yes.
Yes.
So I
Yes.
said, wow, now with this theme, I know exactly who to call. I know exactly who to reach out to have you and so many other powerful, amazing speakers that will be sharing in our conference this year, October 16th. And our theme is I'm worth it.
Yes.
So just your presentation and your story is just so impactful, so thank you for what you're doing. And I know iron sharpens iron. So listen, when you went forth to speak, and you didn't know this, so I'm sharing with you for the first time, because that's just my heart. I love to esteem people not only privately but publicly. Sometimes we have private relationships, but publicly we don't share and don't esteem each other,
Right.
to let people know how well we are connected, or how well we love a person, or how they have touched our lives in some
Right.
way, shape, or form. But I remember when you went forward to share your story, Amy, I was taking notes on the side. Look, I wrote your name down, Amy Bolden, OQP, because I was looking for only quality people to connect with, only quality people to connect with. We know what OQP is. And so there were so many of you as well that was sharing your story, and I was jotting it down in the margin, OQP, because I knew there were certain people, even though that I was in the class for the same purpose, to be trained, to become a powerful speaker, to impact lives all around the world, and to be certified by the greatest legend there is,
Yes.
the motivational mouthpiece himself, Mr. Les Brown. So I was ignited, but I was there to be equipped and empowered, also to connect with some amazing people. So I just thank God for the power of connection. I wanted to say that. I thank God for the power of connection, because that's just like him. He will put you in the right place at the right time.
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I remember when he told me, it's funny you mentioned that, because I kept, actually it was, I think it was Dolly Cena. It was somebody who kept the part of the recording, because I had actually spoke with Les Brown twice in one day on 2 different platforms. So it was really amazing. And he had told me, he said, "You're ready for the big stage."
He
And
did.
yeah,
I remember he said that to you. He said, "You are ready for the big stage, John. I need her." I remember that. I remember that. He sure did say that. That was awesome. That was awesome. You did an excellent job. And then when the big stage came, you delivered. You delivered. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for your contributions to society, too, that you're just empowering and impacting lives all over the world. So thank you, Amy. So listen, let's get into Intrigue.
Yes, let's. Well, first and foremost, I want to thank you for actually giving me that to read and to be here for, because I don't think people understand how hard it is to say you're going to write a book and then write a book. So I want to say that first of all. So I want to hold you up, and woman to woman, entrepreneur to entrepreneur, worker to worker, helper to helper, everything that we encompass. I want to say thank you for following through and completing something that can help heal and touch and inspire and intrigue. So thank you for that. I thank you. So it's amazing. So congratulations on the book, first of all.
Thank you so much, Amy. Thank you. I appreciate that. And all of what you're doing as well. You're author, co-author. Tell us a little bit about co-authoring this great book that just came forward, that's blasting all over social media right now.
I'm going to be a little kid here and be giddy for a second. I feel like I had the most blessed and empowering year to be connected with Les Brown, and now a book endorsed by Tony Robbins. I'm sorry, I might be missing a few people, but those are 2 huge powerhouses. So when you're ready, things show up for you. And so to be asked to be a part of this, it was like, and this is where we're going to go into your book about this whole worth it thing and this whole chapter that I did. When you know your worth, but you're really not sure the amount of worth, maybe you can't visualize how big that worth is, but yet you know that you're going somewhere and you're believing in that and you're showing up for that feeling, things happen, things show up. But if you're still stuck in a fragmented piece of who you are, showing up, which we're going to talk about because it talks about this in your chapter, when you don't show up in your worth, when you don't show up in your value, you will cower at big opportunity. So you want to make sure that you're standing in your best self, even when you don't know how big that best self is just yet. You'll fill in your shoes, just stand them strong. So when I got that opportunity to do that, cracking the rich code, I was like blown away because I was like, really, like, woo. So I just went with it. And here I am. My chapter is something that talks about how you got to get your mind right in order to do right, how to treat people. It talks about, because before I did this, I was heavy in the business field, and I was in higher management, healthcare for 10 years, ran different clinical settings and the infection control department, believe it or not, right before COVID. So I have a lot of business experience to talk about in there. But what I really talk about is something that you made very apparent in this first chapter is what are you representing? Who are you? How are you marketing yourself? What are you saying about yourself? And so that's key to anything. So yes, the book will be actually ready to order here in a few weeks. I'll share the link. It's all over. I'm excited. I do have another one coming out in November, which will be my book alone. But, so it's a great. I'm blessed. I'm just being a kid and being giddy here because that's how God starts blessing you. It's on. So
I know the feeling. Yeah, absolutely. So I'm excited for you too, my sister. I celebrate with you as well and all of our amazing women of treasure. When I saw that, because you and I had just had a conversation about authoring and all of the things that we're going to be doing, and then bam, your book was there with I was like, wow, this is phenomenal. It's phenomenal. Right. And so you're getting ready to release another, so that's tremendous as well. Yeah.
So I get to talk about you now. Can I go into yes.
Let's get into Intrigue.
So
how intriguing is it?
It's very intriguing. And I think, oh gosh, some of this stuff, one of the things that I think, and I'm going to tell you from my own personal experience, being a girl who didn't grow up with a mom, my mom passing at 6 and then being in foster care, one of the things I didn't learn was the importance of presentation. I didn't learn how to show up in a way that showed power. I was, let's just say, confused about that. And you're doing a service by it's market your product. The chapter that I had is market your product. And your first line is, what is it about you that perhaps cannot be found in anybody else? When you don't know that and you're not in a position for somebody to tell you that, that can either cause an opportunity to not be available to you, not show up for you, or you just not recognize it because of the fact you don't know what you do bring. You don't know what you deliver. So that first question is intriguing by itself. What do you bring to the table that's different? That was powerful. What made you start with that?
Marketing your product is what I knew that we had to begin with, because before we can give away any information to anybody else, it has to start with us first. A lot of times we don't understand that our imaging is our branding. You know, people assess us, Amy, whether we like it or not. People think thoughts regarding who we are when we walk into a space, into an office, into a building, wherever we are. So imaging is so very important, how you present yourself, because that's what people would see you before they get to hear you, before they get to know you. They would assess you, check you out from head to toe. So presentation is everything. And I think it had a lot to do also with my background experience. Before I got into management, I was a human resource manager. So I was interviewing a lot of people and hiring a lot of people, firing some. But I paid close attention to their marketing, the way that they presented themselves, because it says so much about who you are. So I thought that would be a great start for any business planner, for any entrepreneur, for anybody that is dealing with self-esteem images, to market their product and know how to present themselves the best version of who they are. Yeah.
And you did it so well, because you go into it further and you talk about, hold on, let me get my eyes. And you talk about, how do you feel about yourself? Everything from bone structure to face to nose to hair. Like, exactly. I think you did a call to call people, like, do you have these things? Because if you have them here, they're going to show up here. You shouldn't
Right.
have these issues, but if you have them, they're going to show up in your presentation. So I thought that was so powerful, because I will tell you that when I did have self-esteem issues, I wouldn't feel like I could do things or whatever. And it wasn't that I truly had the issues I put in my mind, but they did stop me from doing some of the things that I certainly well could have did. But it was just me and me having these, like you said, what is it? So, wow. I mean, I thought that was pretty awesome that you mentioned that you mentioned, like, what are you feeling on the inside about your outside, or who
And
you are.
right. So many people have those struggles, whether it's insecurities, low self-esteem, not feeling self-worth, not confident. And I find that so many times that who we are, we might be as powerful in our own suit, but not get it right here. And it takes somebody else to see it and someone else to say it and someone else to pull it out. And a lot of times we struggle and we're never satisfied with what we already have. So I
Mhm.
didn't want to be too redundant in saying maybe you're too this, you're too that, you're too why, you shows. But I was like, you know what? I wanted to make sure that I reached every single soul, that they
Right.
can find themselves. Because even me, my daughter, my oldest daughter, she has this beautiful, beautiful, thick, full hair. Her hair is like floppy frozen. And she changed it since then. She's cut it and all. And she and I would go back and forth, right? And she would be like, Mom, I just love your hair, because I have fine hair. My hair is softer and it curls up really fast and it's thinner.
Mhm.
But I'm like, I love the texture of your hair. I wish my hair was that thick. I wish I had that type of hair where I can wear a floppy fro, because I'm all
Mhm.
natural. And in the winter time, I take a chance, but in the summertime, I don't, because my hair draws up. So
Mhm.
I wanted to reach those people who may not be satisfied with what they have, because everything that you have is what God has given you. We're gonna always see something that we want in someone else, but that someone else want what they see in you too. So I had to make that. I had to be able to reveal that way.
Right, right. And then you mentioned something else. And again, I used to be on that side too. So I would hire for this, 200 staff building. And then you brought up something that I always, looked at. Like, you see somebody come in for an interview, and it could be an interview for a job, it could be interview for life. I look at it in the big scheme of things, going, do you look scraggly going in to try and get something? How are you representing yourself? Are you wanting to go in for the win, or are you coming in like you don't care? Are you if you used a great example in there. You said, if you had a Fortune 500 company and you were hiring for something, would you hire somebody that came in and, looked all ripped up and had bad clothes on and whatever? Like, would you want somebody like that running your show? Like, would you really
Right.
want something like that? And that's a good point too.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you. I wanted to illustrate that and have that. And it's not about expensive things and fine
Right.
things. It's like just being the best version of you, knowing how to put things together, walk in Target, Walmart, whatever,
Mhm.
and just put it together really nice so you can look the best. You can have the best presentation. Even in interviewing, Amy, that was something that we did. And I want to put
Mhm.
the disclosure out there that it probably was not legal. I can guarantee you that it wasn't, but it was some training mechanism that we had. So when we would interview certain people, we would watch them, watch their presentation, watch them from
Mhm.
head to toe. We would see if they arrived to the interview on time. Were they timely? Did they come ahead of time? How well were they dressed? And we would make little notations, even if they smiled, like how big their smile. And
Right.
so when you're going through these stack of papers after your day's work, and we have to find the right person for the position, they may have some that have so much experience over here, but they had a nasty attitude.
Right.
They were
Right.
not engaging. They just looked like they didn't care. They felt like they had this energy, like they really didn't want to be here. And you had this other person that may have been a plain Jane, but had a big smile. You
Right.
know, was engaging. Really, you saw that person really wanted this job. They really would do all that they can, but they presented well from head to toe. So
Right.
it has to do with your presentation. Yeah.
Teachable. That's the other thing. People are you teachable? Do you come in so
Right.
stiff that nobody feels like they could even teach you anything? Are you
Exactly.
teachable?
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
So You also talked about, property and marketing. I mean, if there was a way for somebody to get it, I think you gave us a lot of ways to understand, like, okay, let's look at it this way. Let's look at it that way. And I thought it was so true and so honest when you said, interestingly enough, it is commonly known that kitchens and bedrooms sell houses.
Yes.
That, I mean, first thing you look for is how many bedrooms, right? You go,
Yes.
how many bedrooms you want?
Let
And then
me see that master suite, right? Yeah.
that's it. That's hands down. I'll tell you from experience. I did lose a little bit in my kitchen though, but I did gain an office, so I'm not overly upset with that. But yes, that was a factor. um, I think that, and then you talk about knowing your worth, and I don't know. I don't think that is as easy done as it is said, because knowing your worth comes with kind of falling in love with yourself and understanding your property value and understanding what it is in you that is of value, because we're all so wonderful. And knowing that is the challenge, right? Falling in love with ourselves is the challenge. Understanding what we represent is the challenge, because we're so fixed on everything around us telling us the truth instead of the inside. And when you do that, you kind of miss the whole thing. You miss the whole part. You also talked about your aura is your advertisement. Oh my gosh, Mary, I don't know how many times you can sit there and you can walk in a room and you can feel it. Like when people say, well, I don't know about the whole aura thing. Okay, well, let's talk about when you go into church. When you go into church and the choir is going, you feel that energy. When you walk into a hospital and you hear a code and you know something's wrong with somebody, you feel that energy. So energy doesn't lie. I mean, you will feel it. So I think that was really awesome that you put that in there, because that is so true. Like when you you may say you're in a good mood, but if you have an energy that says you're not in a good mood,
Right.
say that you're not in a good mood. So, I mean, you can't fake the funk. I mean, it is what it is,
That's right. I actually landed a job because of my aura. That's the honest truth. I was not as qualified. I did not have a degree. They had people that had degrees in that area. And I actually had got interviewed. I had to take a written test, pass the test, had to write a letter, pass that portion. And but they had people that passed too, that but had degrees. And I remember on the second interview, and after being hired, I remember the supervisor, the head person in charge, came to me and said, I love your aura. I love what you bring to this office. I love what you bring to this space. I love your aura. That's why I wanted you here. And I was like, wow, your aura is your advertisement. Definitely. Definitely. You don't have to have all the degrees and the titles. Education is wonderful, but being educated and being an educated fool is a whole different story, right? Because here's the thing, Amy, in different places, as I said, I was an HR manager, and all of the skills and training that I use in management, I brought them into ministry as well. But
Right.
every ministry is differently, right? And so sometimes you have people who have titles and positions and authority that have gone through the experience, and because they are on your platform or has come in your space or your arena, they
Right.
feel that they know more or they can do it better. But that's not necessarily the case, because what I love is a clean slate. You
Right.
give me a clean slate, you can build anything. Get rid of that old baggage, that old
Right.
drama, and all of that old way of doing things, and just bring a clean slate with an open heart and be willing, like you said in the beginning, be willing and eager to learn. And so it doesn't matter who you are. And I want to say that to somebody that's listening. It doesn't matter who you are, where you come from, what you've gone through. Because I was a double dropout. I was pregnant at age, it's the truth. I was pregnant at age 16. I was forced to be married because I was pregnant, because of tradition in the church.
Right.
So I got married at an early age. I became a wife and a mother at 16 years old, was going through high school. I had such a great deal of morning sickness. I was vomiting and throwing up every morning. I would get dressed to go to school, and there I was sick and late for school and having morning sickness, having to miss so many days. I had A and B average, but I was not able to graduate because I had missed too many days of school.
Wow.
I had to go through like a second appeal through the school board, and it was just so much going on. Then I had a husband at the time. Could you imagine at 16 years old, you're a husband? You have a house. You have a house that you have to clean and cook, and now you're pregnant. So I was dealing with all of that while still trying to go to school. And then one day, my husband at the time said he didn't want his wife going to school. I don't want you going to school anymore, and I don't want you with those high school. Now we were high school students. He was the same age as I am, but
Wow.
he felt insecure. He felt like guys were going to want to hit on me and all of that. But it was really that pressure from him, and just not being able to stand and just to deal with all of it and go to school and be a wife and this soon to be mom and all of that. And I dropped out of school. And so I went back to school, to night school. After coming out of that relationship, I went back to school and started going to night school. And I was on my way, finishing up, got going to night school, and an opportunity came to me. Now here I am, a divorced mom, a single mom, by myself, raising a daughter on my own, on minimum wages, trying to scram and make the best that I can, the best life that I can for my daughter at the time. And then I'm working hard on this job, giving it my all, right? I didn't even know about the job until my brother told me they were hiring somewhere and he was going to apply, and he told me I should come. So I went and I applied, and I applied for a cashier. I was making $3.50 an hour, Amy, and I was doing everything. I was showing up on time. I was coming in ahead of time. When my days were off, I was calling in, going into work to make sure that I was trying to earn every single cent that I can. If I knew somebody needed a day off, holiday, vacation, weekends, whatever, I said, I'll take it. I'll work in your place, because I needed to earn a living. I needed to support my daughter, and I had nothing. And so doing that process while I'm in night school and going to work in the daytime, I remember working my way up, not even thinking that I'm working for a position or anything. Didn't even know there was a position, right? And the store manager came to me one day and he said, Mary, I want you to keep your head up, beautiful. That beautiful smile is taking you places. And I was like, wow, that was nice, right? And then they started telling me how they were getting all of these compliments from customers, saying how that I served them so well. I would serve them, ring them up, bag the groceries, put it in the basket, all of that, wipe down my register. I'm telling you, my work ethic was like at the 10.
Yeah.
And I didn't realize that somebody was watching my performance. They
Right.
were watching my work ethic. And so there was a position that came around for a management position of a department that they were opening up. And they told me that they wanted me to interview for the position. $3.50 an hour as a cashier. I'm going to night school trying to get my GED to finish. And now this opportunity comes along, offers me full-time benefits, increase in pay. I'm on salary. I will be a manager of a department. And I'm like, oh my God. So I remember telling the regional manager, there is only one strike against me. He said, what? I said, I don't have a high school diploma. He said, I would have never known. Had you never told me that, Mary, I would have never known that. He said, you have potential. And he said, and we want to give you a chance. And I was up against people that had business degrees,
Mhm.
people that had degrees. And he said, don't mention it to anybody, because there's so many people that have degrees that are up for this position. I didn't even know there was a position to be up for. I didn't apply for anything. And
Right.
so that's where all of the market your product came into play. And so, of course, I quit going to school. I was
Mhm.
like, well, I can make a whole lot of money right here, or
Right.
I can stay in here and get this piece of paper. But I made a whole lot of money at that age. I was 18, I believe, at that time, a manager of this huge corporation, making money. I bought my car, I got my own place, and started my life over. And it was a good place for me to be. And they sent me to school.
Wow.
They paid for me to go to school, and they sent me to Dale Carnegie, and I got a business, graduated at the top of my class with honors.
Wow.
And so yeah, so I'm saying, you have to know where you are, you have to know who you are. And here's the thing, Amy, acts of kindness, acts of service, that's within me. So
Mhm.
that's why I was able to reach with market your product, because it resonated with me. How do you market yourself?
Mhm.
So yeah, I loved it. I love serving. I love serving people. And I think that's how I connected so well with you, because I see the same thing in you. Loving people, wanting what's best for everybody, wanting people to be the best version of themselves. But
Yeah.
I tell everybody, because some people may think, oh, that person has a degree, or that person has this or that, but wherever you are, use what you got. Use
Yes.
what you got.
Yeah,
Yeah.
start from there. Wow, that is a beautiful story. We actually have a lot of similarities. Real quick, just to piggyback the fact that aura is important. First, I wanted to let the audience know what aura is, just in case you wonder, like, what the heck is aura, and is it something you sprinkle in your spaghetti, like what is aura? And I will say she probably makes good spaghetti too, but that's not the aura she's talking about. So, aura, the distinctive atmosphere or quality that seems to surround and be generated by a person, thing, or place. I mean, what do you generate? So, another story, I was young, single mother with three. Again, hadn't got my GED yet, but I'm actually older at this time. So, because I didn't get my GED until I was in my 20s, but that's irrelevant to the story. I am working for this person, and he likes my work ethic. He has his own business. He's coming out of Vegas. He owns this big company in California, and he's like, I want to move you up to supervisor. Okay, moved up to supervisor. Then he talks to me about management. And I always kept my private life private, and I'm pretty big about that too, still to this day. And I'm going to tell you, as a woman and as a single mom, I always protected my money, because I knew at the time where, coming up like that, men usually got positions over women. I mean, this is just the reality of the past. And so anyway, I get this huge management position, and I'm now interviewing people for his Fortune 500 company and blah, blah, blah. And we always talk about who we interview and who we're going to hire. So we're going down all these people he wants to hire. And he said, I really liked such and such. And what I'm about to say shouldn't be used to hire or not hire people, but she volunteered the information, so it's not technically illegal. But she had told him that she was a single mother with some kids. So he goes, well, my fear for that position is she has to be here. And she mentioned she's a single mother for kids. Now, I had worked for this man over 2 years at this time. And so I told him for the first time in 2 years, Mr. Burden, that was his last name, I want to let you know that I'm a single mother with 3 kids. And he said, you have kids?
Right.
And I said, what I'm saying is I believe in her. And if you knew that I had kids, you maybe wouldn't have gave me a shot either.
Right.
Exactly. When you believed in me, I believe in her. So hired her, the company got big. It was great. But again, it's what are you bringing? What is that vibe? So I believed in who she represented. I felt her aura. I knew that she had something to deliver. So it is important. Know what stink you're carrying around, right? If you're carrying around a lot of stink of, disappointment or being upset or feeling like you can't do it, it's going to meet people before you do. So know what aura you're carrying. That's huge.
Right. That's so good. That is so good. And listen, we do have a lot of similarities. It reminded me of even me in ministry. I kept my private life private. My personal life was private. So, and serving in ministry and being a leader in the church and over all of these major auxiliaries.
I can imagine.
Training everybody, writing policies and procedures, putting things in order, doing fundraisers, mission outreach, evangelism, all of this stuff. And but it was just something about who I was, Amy. And I don't know how to really explain this to everybody, but it's like when I move forward, I always let go of all of the old baggage. It's almost like I reinvent myself all over again, if that makes sense. Matter of fact, that was one of my speeches for Les Brown, how to win in life while losing. Because I tell you, I can master that thing. How do you win when you really are losing? Right. I was able to let go of my past, let go of the past failures and all of the things and the hurt and the pain. And I just kept moving. So now I'm in a whole nother arena in a different space. So people never knew that I had been married before. Right. They didn't know that I was pregnant at 16 years old. Right. They didn't know all of the brokenness that I went through to get to where I am today. All they knew was the version that I presented to them today. Right. And they had not a clue. I work with people in ministry and served for over 20 years, and they never knew. And now they're just getting to know, because God told me that I would be saved from silence. He said, Real Talk with Mary Jae. He wanted me to reach real people, Amy, with
Right.
real issues because we serve a real God. And so my entire platform, my entire imaging around everything that I do, KFIT, Kingdom First International Teaching Virtual Church, that God has graced me with, is
Right.
to reach real people with their struggles. And so when I began to share all of the stuff of my past, they're looking at me like, who is this person? I didn't know Pastor MJ was doing all of that. I married 3 times. Oh my God. I didn't
Right.
know that. She was, went through a broken marriage. She went through domestic abuse. She went through all of this stuff. She was homeless. I didn't know any of that because I never shared it.
Right.
I
Right.
never shared it,
Right.
but I was still loving on the
Right.
people,
Mm-hmm.
still embracing people, still hugging them, and worshiping, and just worshiping with a pure heart, and asking God to just break up all of the stuff, and give me a heart of flesh, and not have me with this stony heart. And I was able to just break through. And it was actually, Amy, it was really my coping mechanism. That's
Mm-hmm.
the way I knew how to cope. I worked my way through it, right? I reinvented myself. I created platforms and just did
Mm-hmm.
things to and it was healing me. While I
Right.
was healing others, I was being healed. While
That's
I
right.
was pouring into others, I was being made whole.
Right.
So, everybody has their go-to.
And I think,
Some
and I
may
think
do
you're
drugs
right
and
about
alcohol and all of that.
that.
Everybody has their go-to. My go-to was work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And I can see where helping others, helped you. And I'll say this: I don't think, I don't know, I'll do it in the positive. I know that God prepares you to be open about your story. So I don't know that it was, you have to be ready to share your
Exactly.
story, because with that comes another level of hate. With that comes another level of loss. With
Yeah.
that comes another level of question. And until you are standing up straight with who you are and okay with it,
Right.
regardless of what it looks like or what it's been or whatever, until you have that divine self connection with yourself, to where you're like, it's me and God. This is the one way we're going forward and forward only. Until you're ready to deal with what may come through comments, through what may come
Mhm.
through losing those who you thought were standing beside, until you're ready to endure that, I believe God does keep a muzzle on us,
I
because He knows.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. That was so well said, because I went through it all. I shared my story with one of my mentors, and I felt like once I opened my mouth, I felt like I needed to go crawl under a rock. I don't
Right.
know if you ever been in
Right.
that place where
Right.
where now you're being judged and you're
Yes.
being
For
ostracized.
your
And
truth.
it's like, it's almost like you deceived me. Like, you're not who I thought you were. You did that. You've been through
Right.
that. I never knew that. I just thought you was this woman of God that.
Right.
And I felt like, oh my God, what did I just do?
They judge you on your truth. Ain't
Yeah,
that the same?
absolutely. Absolutely. And when I went through my divorce, you would have thought I had the plague. It was like all of these people
Yeah.
that I thought that I was connected to begin to push you, like,
Yeah.
no, she's not welcome here. Oh, don't come sit at my table. Oh, no, you're not sitting here, not with me and my husband. You
Mhm.
go over there and sit down.
Yeah.
Oh, that's my chair. I want you to put a sign on that she can't sit in this seat. I went through all of this. This is real deal. I went through that. It was like I lost friendships.
Mhm.
There were husbands that didn't want their wives to be with me anymore, because now I'm this single divorced woman. And it
Mhm.
it was just exactly what you said. Been there, done that. And you're exactly right. God has a season
Yes.
and a time for us to go through certain things. And
Yes.
all of those times that I was doing and being and becoming, He was
Yes.
covering me and protecting me
Yes.
from all of those wolves in sheep clothing,
Yep.
right? And all of those foxes out there in the vine, in the vineyard. He was preparing me, Amy, for, just as you said, for such a time as this. But He
Yeah.
told me that when I came on Real Talk Mary J, a social outlet for a positive outcome, He said that you would be saved from silence,
Yeah.
when you open your mouth to share your truth, to tell your story, that people
Mhm.
will be healed, saved, and set free all over the world. And that's my sincerest desire, to impact and empower and to help set somebody free. Because
Absolutely.
how oftentimes do we have to market our product in such a way where we have to be careful? How do we present ourselves?
Right.
What sign are we putting up in our front yard? you
Right.
know what does our sign say,
Mhm.
in the front yard?
Yep.
Does it say for sale, sold? What is it? What does it say? A must see, a bestseller? What are we saying to people? And so you're absolutely right. I went through all of that scrutiny, all of it. And then in hindsight, God had to show me who's who and what's what in your life.
Right.
You never know who is really for you until you at the bottom of the bottom. And I was at the bottom of the bottom. And during my bottom times, I lost relationships, I
Yeah.
lost friendships, I
Yes.
lost income,
Yes.
I lost positioning, I
Yes.
lost title,
Yes.
all of that stripped away back
Yeah.
to my bare bottom nakedness.
Absolutely.
Homeless for 45 days, living in a hotel room after my divorce because of my pride and my shame, and not really wanting people to know exactly what I was going through, because I was this pastor, that was ministering to people all over. And my life was my life was public. And
Yeah.
so privately I was suffering.
Right.
Privately, I was looking for someone to pour into me, but
Yeah.
no, I got dropped.
Right.
Got dropped in the midst of it. And
Mhm.
so even all of that stuff that we endure, and all of the stuff that we go through in life, God is using it to shape us, to position us, to strengthen us, and for us to present the best version of ourselves. And I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. I say on KFIV, Kingdom First International Teaching Church, I say it was good that I have been afflicted, Amy.
Yes. Yes.
It it was good, because a lot of times God will show you what not to do, right? All the things, we hear hurting people hurt people,
Yeah.
but there's some things that may have bruised you so badly, that have scarred you severely, that have hurt you so deeply. You'll be like, I'll never do that to anybody.
Mhm.
I'll never treat
Mhm.
anybody that way. I'll never look down upon anybody, no matter how high I get, no matter how empowered I become. I'll
Right.
never treat anybody that way, right? So we go
It's
through,
like they say the truth will set you free, but here's the thing: a lot of the times is we want the truth delivered the way we want it. And the
right?
other thing, when the truth will set you free, what that says is sometimes you'll be standing alone, and that's going to be the truth. But people don't want that kind of truth. And the other thing is these seasons we go through, we keep trying to hold on to some things that we should have never grabbed onto the first place. So when
Exactly.
we say why me, and we're saying, well, you should have listened to the spirit inside in the first place before you went just trying to do it on your own. So I just think that we as people want to keep sometimes things that aren't ours, things that aren't meant to be kept. They're meant to go through. That there, those signs in your yard, as you mentioned, they're supposed to change. You're supposed to go from for rent, for sale, close, foreclosed, rebuilt, rebought, reestablished, renewed. Those signs are supposed to change, you know? So
Mhm.
you talk about it, your verse, let's see, Matthew 6:21 you put in there. I love how you added scripture. You said here, it's here. For those of you who think what I'm speaking is coming out the side of my neck somewhere, here.
Yes,
It's a little bit of verse to just let you know what I know and the God that I serve. He said it, And Matthew 6:21, what is it in you that cannot be found in anyone else? We all have it. My sign's not meant to look like your sign, Mary. You're not my competition. You're a part of my inspiration. The next person is not a part. We want to compete for what? Like you said, people aren't happy with what they have. They're looking at what the other person has. When in truth, the whole you is for you, about you, because of you. And you keep trying to put it somewhere else. Don't avoid the mirror. You're beautiful as you are. You're worth it as you are. Stop running from what you are, which is greatness. You, however, are going off what other people are putting in your yard.
that's right.
Don't let them put nothing in your yard. Not everybody should have access to you.
That's
There's
right.
only one you. So, yes, thank you for the scriptures, because that just, for those who want something to stand on, because I get it. Not everybody's biblical. Not everybody has a religious preference.
Mhm.
And And I'm not gonna not wave at somebody because they have on a different political shirt or because they have.
Right.
Your
Exactly.
prerogative is your prerogative. Thank
Exactly.
God. I don't have to carry your baggage in my baggage. Whoop, whoop. That's a lot lighter load. I don't want what you have. That's not for me.
Yes.
In fact, I don't even have to carry mine alone because I got somebody who carries it with me, for me, and about me. If I stick my nose where I'm supposed to, I have only me I need to worry about. And that way my aura can bless all those I come in contact with.
That's right.
So thank you for all that you put into this book. And thank you again for saying, here, you want to see what it says in the scripture about how wonderful you are, about how you should stand up, about the treasures that are here. You go. Wow. But I did have a question. So
Yes.
Intrigue, how did you come up with Intrigue? I wanted to know what was Intrigue.
Yeah, Intrigue. I'm telling you, I wrote this book, Amy, during my divorce. I wrote this book when I was locked into the bedroom with my daughter, my youngest daughter, as a matter of fact. And I would go into her room and say, Mommy's here with you, and let's talk about a bedtime story. Let's tell some stories. And I would read her a book and tell her stories, just to go into her room and be there with her, not letting my children know that me and Daddy, we're not getting along. We're going through a divorce, and I don't want them to know, and I don't want them to feel this. So I was very creative in how I was writing. Amy, I'm writing Intrigue while I'm staring at the ceiling on my wall, counting the popcorn on the ceiling. I was so damaged inside, because I felt like I went through so much deception and betrayal. But the word intrigue just resonated in me. That was a word that just dropped in my spirit.
Right.
And over the period of years prior to, I would, meet people, interact with people, even on the job. I would have people tell me on different occasions, there's something about you that is so intriguing.
Right.
And that, I always say that, and the word serendipity were two of my best words. I love them. For a long time, I had serendipity as my profile. That's all I had, one word, serendipity. And so intrigue just stuck with me. Matter of fact, my ex-husband, when I met him and we began to, communicate and converse with one another at lunch and different things, and he used to say, there's something about you that is so mysterious, and so intrigue just stuck with me. And while I was writing this book, and God would begin to drop these downloads in my spirit: market your product, make the investment, manage your time. And then it shifts from the business aspect of who you are into the personal space, into your private sector. And I found it so fascinating, so captivating, and it was intriguing. And God reminded me of that. And that's how I came up with the word for the book, intrigue. It means to arouse the curiosity. And to captivate. And so I was like, God, this is blowing me away. While I'm writing this book, I'm like, God, this is, and then, God meet us right where we are. So I'm a sensual creature anyway. That's just who I am. That's just my nature. I can't help it. He made me this way. That's my makeup. He put it in me. And so putting it in me, he began to cultivate it. He began to pull those treasures out of me. And I was writing things based on different scenarios and situations and things that we experience in life, going through all of the stuff that we're going through. But we're not all spirit, Amy. We're not walking around here with this halo over our head. You don't see us with wings on, We're little gods in the earth, but we have the power and the authority as our big God, because he's given it to us as a believer. And people are not getting that. But we have to also tap into the other side of us, which is the sensual side, not just the spiritual side, not just the physical and the, not just the natural side, but there's a sensual side that he has put in us. Why did he put that in us, right? Why did he make us this way with personalities and stuff? We can be walking around singing church hymns all day. He didn't have to create us like he did. And so God began to take all of these creative chapters, all of these subliminal messages, and put it in the book, like the shape. Know your size. How big is too big? Sex toys, needs, wants, and desires, which I am so glad that you will be sharing with me on next week. We're going to talk about needs, wants, and desires as well. Yeah. But that's how I came up with Intrigue.
I loved it. I thought it was great, but I forgot to give the verse, Matthew 6:21. But this still goes into what you're saying. For where your treasure is, there your heart will be also. And I think that's so important because whatever intrigues you, you're going to be there. So, it's what you feel. Feeling is the secret, right? A lot of people think that they can say things out of their mouth and that, I'm going to say positive affirmations, or I'm going to say I'm worth this value. But if on the inside that energy doesn't match, it doesn't matter what you're saying. It matters what you're feeling and the energy you're putting out about it.
That's right.
So it's important to know where your treasure is. What is it what is it that you make for you as a first? What is it that you put first? What is it where your importance is? So yeah, I mean, I'm excited. I'm excited for the next one and for the next one. I'm sure it's not going to stop here. So I'm very excited. Good stuff, Mary. Very good stuff.
Thank you so much, Amy, and thank you so much for sharing um, your review of Intrigue, Chapter 1, the first chapter,
Yeah.
Market Your Product.
Yeah.
Market Your Product. So once again, thank you for all of what you're doing as well, Amy. You're doing some amazing things. I cannot wait to get your book as well, and your new book that will be coming out soon, and Pickled Hearts as well. I want everyone to go follow Amy. Go follow Amy Bolden, Lady Amy Bolden, beautiful soul. And I knew it. I knew you were OQP girl. The
Yeah.
moment you know the spirit by the spirit, right? And
Mhm.
so I knew Amy when I jotted your name down in my margin. I didn't know when, I didn't know how or what,
Yeah.
but I knew that we would be doing something together. I knew that we would. And so thank you once again for
Mhm.
coming on the show. Would you let the people know where they can find you, how they can get in touch with you, and also to be a part of what you're doing and the services that you provide? Please share.
Absolutely. So I say that I am an ambassador of love. I help people fall back in love with themselves and with life. Generally, I get those people who say, I'm done. I can't take it no more. I'm tired of going ring around the rosy with this thing. I help you tear down those walls that you have created, usually by your experiences of life. And we look at it as a whole, and I bring you back to yourself. You should be in love with yourself. You should be in love with life. We're not here for torture. We're here for love. You can come to my website and see the services that I do have to offer. I do have a boot camp that's coming up. It's a motivational boot camp. I'm not going to have you running around the block. Well, at least not physically, maybe emotionally and mentally. But the deal is to keep you for 6 weeks in tune with your best self so that you can feel what it feels like to be high revved and in positive mindset. Also do one-on-one coaching. I do keynote speaking. I have books. I also have one-on-one programs for individualized needs. www.thepickledheart.com. TikTok at Lady Bolding 1. Instagram at Lady Bolding. Facebook Amy Bolding. And my podcast, I Can, I Will, I'm Worth It. Come see me. I'm so excited to be here and to share this. I hope all of you have gotten something from today. Mary Jae, you're truly a blessing. Thank you for doing this. This is amazing. And I look forward to seeing you again here this next week.
Yes, I'm looking forward to sharing with you further too. Thank you so much, Amy. And listen, tell them how you're on YouTube as well. How do they
Oh,
find you on YouTube? What is it? Your podcasts are off the chain, girl.
thank
It's
you.
amazing. I love it. And even the audible clips that you share too
Yeah.
with so many people, it's phenomenal. So how do they reach you on YouTube?
On YouTube, it's Lady Bolding Live. So it's Lady Bolding Live. And then on the podcast, I started putting my guest speakers on there. So yeah, there's some interesting interviews. They're not all PG. I mean, there are some ones that do talk about sexual abuse and stuff like that. So just, don't put it on in the car when you got little Johnny sitting in the back seat. It may not be the may not be the conversation. You may not want to go to uncle's house no more. Okay. So just be careful of your audience. So yeah.
Yeah. Well, thank you for sharing. Thank you for bringing forward some real heart to heart conversations, some needed conversations. You have a whole lot of insight as it relates to the subject matters. And I was able to have the opportunity to share with Leon Walker. That was an amazing, amazing in depth discussion that the two of you shared as it relates to broken. And
Yeah.
Mr. Walker will also be our keynote speaker for Women of Treasure Conference coming up October 16th. So iron
Wonderful.
sharpens iron. Thank you, Amy. Thank you so much.
Thank
Did you
you.
have A happy Merry Monday, Amy.
Oh, I did. I had a happy, merry, magnificent Monday, Mary.
Happy, very magnificent Monday. That's phenomenal. So, listen, you guys, thank you, Amy. I want you all to go and receive a copy of my book, Intrigue. I want you to pick up your own copy of Intrigue. I want you to be able to share with me on social media. I'm also going to be sharing my VIP, very intriguing person. This is a copy of the book, guys. Very intriguing person. You can become a VIP by only paying $35 to receive your autographed copy of the book, as well as join our mailing list and be a part of our mailing list to receive highlights and updates, and also to receive your copy directly to your door, delivered to you, and to be on our FaceTime greeting. I want to get to see you guys. I want to get to know who you are and see your faces and have a conversation. Just, just a real short conversation, just to share a personal greeting with y'all to let you know how much I love and appreciate you. So, you all, our VIP, very intriguing person, our book bash will be coming to you all live on Facebook. You'll be able to follow us right there and join in the conversation on August 14th. So we look forward to having you all to share with us. So join us there. So thank you once again, Amy, for being a part. Thank you for coming on, and thank you for sharing with me. Happy Merry Monday, everybody.